Hey, hello everybody. This is Clifton Johnson. I'm the founder I got to turn the volume down. I'm getting some feedback here. Okay, that's much better. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clifton Johnson. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Empower Series. I want to thank you for tuning in today. We're a little bit late, but we're right on time. I want to also thank our sponsors, Comerica Bank, as well as the AE Media Group, and your generous donations for being able to support us and bringing on quality programs like this. If you want to give more or find out more about the Empower Series, just go to our website at www.empowerseries.com, and you can click on the donate button in the top left-hand corner, or you can click on the RSVP button to find out about our upcoming events. We just had a wonderful lunch and learn at the Meadows Conference Center with Kenneth Walker talking about wills and estate planning. And we're going to be tomorrow at Paul Quinn College at 10:30, and we're going to talk about simple wills as well as estate planning and trust. So go to our website, click on RSVP, and you can click on the event for the Paul Quinn College at 10:30 to find out more about that. Now, today, what I'm so excited about is our guest. We're going to talk about mental health, and we're going to talk to Randy Bibbs as well as Melanie Wells, and we're going to talk to them because they have a counseling service that is a franchise, and it's called Lifeologie, the study of life. So our guest today, as I said, Randy and Melanie, you guys look so perfect together.
We do?
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're a team. There is no I in team.
There you
I
go.
love that. And I am so glad that you guys have agreed to come to the podcast and talk to the Empower Series community about mental health and what you're doing in the community in that space, but also more importantly in South Dallas.
Yes.
South Dallas. In fact, you mentioned Paul Quinn College.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Michael Sorrell's.
Oh, yeah.
He's amazing. The
Yeah.
Quinnite Nation, they're doing amazing things down there.
Yeah, there's an article out there about how he turned that school around based on a vision. And even with the Empower Series, we're all about our vision. We want to give hope, inspiration, and education to people to let them know that their vision can come true.
Yes.
Even though the current circumstances might seem a little bit whacked.
Yeah.
You got to
sure.
believe in your vision regardless of your current circumstances, that is.
Absolutely.
But I'm interested about lifeology. I think that's an interesting term because it's the study of life, right?
Study of life. Learn how to live.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, aren't we all looking for that?
So tell me about where that came from.
Lifeology?
Yeah.
Well, so my original practice was named LifeWorks, and for a number of reasons, I felt like I needed to change the name. And so, naming a business, like, think about how hard that is. It's very difficult. So, trying to name a counseling business is like all the cheesy things, like Found Life Therapy. There's so many so many bad choices. So, I wanted something that really had that said what we were doing, which is studying life, learning how to live. And so that's how I went with Lifeology. And I like the IE on the end because it's just cooler.
Yeah, as opposed to the Y.
So it's like coolness plus accuracy.
So it's like this. So life does work, right?
Life does work.
Yeah, but it is a study. Nobody has it right.
No, it's a journey. It's the going, not the getting there.
So when did it start, actually? When did you start this business?
Well, I started it in its original form in 1999. So it's a 20-year-old business. And I had this vision, I had this idea that I wanted to put a multi-specialty team together and have a training facility, which is not the way our field works. That's not the way counseling works. And I wanted to really train everybody really well and then have a team that didn't compete with one another, that instead worked together with complementary specialties so that we could help anybody that walked in the door. And we would function as a team. So we started, I started with 4 people and me and no money and no clients and I think I had $7 in a broken copier and 2 pleather chairs. It was bad.
I love this because so much people think that you really do need money.
Yeah.
Now, I would tell you
it would
that
have helped.
money is good.
Money is,
but
I'm pro money.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, I'm in the spot right now thinking, okay, the illusion of money. The most valuable thing you have is an idea.
Absolutely.
And a desire.
For sure.
Yeah, and that desire. So you have this idea and this desire, and then you start doing work. And so you had 4 other people in yourself, so it was a total of 5. And so what were the specialties?
Well, they were all my interns, so I was training them. So they chose you kind of choose your specialty based on what you're interested in. So we ended up with somebody who did eating disorders, which turned out to be a very necessary specialty. I do last-ditch marriage counseling. And then we had somebody who specialized in addictions, and I think somebody who did play therapy, and somebody who worked with complex anxiety and depression.
Okay.
So,
So you said last ditch marriage therapy.
Last ditch, like they're crawling to the finish line if
So,
they're in my
hold on.
office, man.
Did you just create that term?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what?
And that was your specialty, right?
Yeah, when I got real busy after I put last ditch on the front because like that's a thing. I didn't even think about it, but it is.
And that's when the money started coming, right?
Yeah, I mean I can charge whatever I want. Basically, it's cheaper than divorce.
Very true.
That's what I tell
Very
people.
true.
So you had this, you started, and how long did you operate before you felt like you had a system and a model that was worth franchising?
Well, I knew that the model was good. I'm not a very good systems person. I'm a good visionary. So it was a long time before we had systems that were in place. But I spent a lot of time perfecting the model, perfecting the collaboration, and how to create a team that works together and not against one another. That's really hard to do. So we I think we cracked that nut, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then putting together which specialties we would need, and then what the structure would be about how we're going to train everybody. So it took a long time to get all that together, and then we franchised in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about that franchise model and entrepreneurship. I want to get into mental health. And so you started a franchise in 2015. And then you, Randy, you got this franchise just this year in 2019.
Yes, we opened May 6, 2019.
So how did you connect? How did you find out about Lifeologie?
I was introduced to Melanie in the spring of 2018, and I was looking for a franchise opportunity. A franchisor told me about Lifeologie. So I made the contact to reach out to Melanie and her team, and also the franchise division, and that's how we started talking about it.
Okay.
I had a desire to do something that helped people from a franchise standpoint. And then as I learned more about Lifeologie and what it stood for and what it does and how it does help the impact people's lives, it was a no-brainer for me.
Okay. So again, I'm going to put on pause this entrepreneurship because you have another franchise.
Yes.
But you were looking for a franchise opportunity, and I'm really interested as to why did you pick mental health when there's a lot of different franchises that you could have picked that helps people?
Okay. Yeah. I went with that because, one, my main objective was do something that could help people. My second objective is I grew up in Dallas. I grew up right there in Oak Cliff, and I wanted to do something that would support that part of town. I wanted to do something that would support south of downtown. And this Lifeologie model was franchising, and they wanted to franchise in the southern sector of town. So it was a good fit from that standpoint. So it hit both of my key elements, do something that helps people and also do something that helps people in the southern sector of town.
Okay. Okay, cool. And mental health, because we talked about that before we went on the air about, first off, not many people talk about mental health.
No,
Yes.
not enough
That's one
people.
thing. Yeah, not enough people. And then also, I did a program last month with another organization about the food desert in South Dallas. But I think when it comes to mental health solutions, it's also a desert.
It's also a desert.
Right.
Yes.
And so how did that play into your decision to build a franchise in Cedar Hill?
Part of the negotiation and going through the franchise process is you geographically look at areas that are good for that particular type of franchise. And when we did our study, and I know Melanie had done a lot of work prior to me, but I was assigned with one guy, and we did even more studies about where's a good place to put a franchise opportunity. And Cedar Hill was very key because it is very good for the southern sector of town. It's on the I-67 corridor. So you can get there from Oak Cliff, you can get there from Redbird area, you can get there from Midlothian, just south of there. You've got access to DeSoto, Lancaster, Grand Prairie. So it was very key in that location and area. And after that, once we found the city, then it was just a matter of just finding the right location for the franchise.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll tell you personally, I've used counseling services because I was married in divorce. Didn't know
Man,
about
you should come to see me.
last ditch. And here's what I would tell you, and she'll probably Beth. I hate calling people by
Their title.
the ex the
My
ex
ex-best
relation,
friend.
right? You know what I mean? Like she's currently my friend, right? So
Yes.
Beth will probably watch this, but she when we got divorced, I would say that we got divorced because I didn't know at that time how to spiritually lead a long-term relationship. I was young, and we argued, and we just got frustrated. And out of frustration, we said, "Well, let's end this." But if I had gone to last ditch therapy, possibly, we would have learned how to communicate, how to deal with our issues. And even to this day, we have a beautiful 33-year-old daughter. She has a son that I am blessed to be his father of. So who's 19, is doing well. And so I say that we went to counseling, through the marriage process afterwards with our daughter.
Oh, good.
And, my daughter would tell me that I still need help. She goes to counseling service, and she says, Dad, are you still going to counseling? You need to go to counseling. Have you gone?
That's a loving daughter. Yeah. She cares about you.
Right.
That's true.
I need to remember that next time she's on me about, so when's the last time you went to counseling, Dad?
Yeah. That's love.
Everybody could use counseling. It's like going to the gym.
That is so true.
Right?
That is so true. So I use it personally. So since you guys are in the business, do you also go to counseling yourself?
Oh yeah, there's a rule in the business. If your therapist doesn't have a therapist, find another therapist.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you can't use a therapist that you're working with because you're not supposed to know.
That's unethical.
Okay.
That's a no-no. Plus, I mean, who wants everybody that you're working with to know your dirty laundry?
But that's kind of tough for you to. It's like going to the doctor who doesn't know you, but then.
Yeah, and part of my problem is, and you're gonna run into this too, is that all the best therapists I know work with me.
Right.
They already work in my system, so finding somebody is really hard.
I know that's difficult.
Yeah.
So even as a financial advisor, we work with our clients, but then over time you build a relationship with them, and then they refer you to other people that you know. But as a counselor, you can't use that model because too many people know each other.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, your former clients refer a lot of people to you, so that's a good referral source because they already know what you do and they believe in you and they want their friends to have the best care. But you can't see the people that you know.
Yeah.
Which is a drag.
Well, going back to the difficulty of it, so not only the stigma of getting help, but also access to that. So whether it's South Dallas and then financially, sometimes it costs. So let's talk about that. How do you guys provide services to the people who are in need, and how do you make sure that they don't not get service because they can't afford it?
I'll take that one.
I'll take it. From this standpoint, we have what we call a sliding scale. We have various levels of counselors and therapists within the franchise. You have a master's level intern, and they are the very, I would say, cost-friendly. They are master's level students that are completing their master's level degree in therapy. Typically, they're around $35. And then you have what we would call an LPC intern. They're past the master's level, they've graduated, and they're working toward their 3,000 hours to get to LPC level, full licensed counselor. Their range is anywhere from $50 up to $105 maybe. It just depends on their level of experience and location and whatnot. And then also we have an LPC, which is the licensed therapist that has been doing this typically for some period of time. And that could be anywhere from $135 on up because they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the training, they've seen a lot, they've heard a lot, and they know the things that in their particular specialty can get results.
So that's very interesting because it sounds like the best therapists cost the most money.
Well, the most experienced therapists cost the most money.
Okay.
I don't know that necessarily makes them the best therapist.
There you go.
Good.
So the whole model is built on the idea. There's a lot of training that's required in our field. So to get that master's degree, you have to have 300 supervised hours of client contact. So those are the master's level students he's talking about. Then you need 3,000 hours of supervised contact. And so what you're getting with a $35 master's level intern is the supervisor's brain and experience, but that person's point of view and their experience too. And then we shut the whole place down for 3 hours on a Monday, and we spend time together as a team, which takes the ego out of the room. By the way, everybody checks in. We talk about how we are. And then the second half of that meeting is we go over cases. And sometimes the smartest comment in the room comes from the intern that started yesterday. So the idea is, and I always tell people this when I'm looking for staff, there are certain things you can't teach. I can't teach somebody to be gifted or insightful or to have a good eye or to care. I can teach them the skills, but you don't need to have a skill set to be a good counselor. It helps, right? Yeah. Especially the more complicated the cases, like my last ditch marital cases, they're hard. So you don't want to see a beginner probably for something like that, but you could see somebody who I'm supervising and you get my brain for $35.
Yeah. So that's good to hear that you get like more of a group case with some experience,
Yeah.
as opposed to, really the newbie trying to figure it out on their own.
Right.
without
That
any advice.
collaborative meeting is really huge in the life of all 3 steps of a counselor's life. Because like she says, from a master's level intern, you're getting the insight of a supervisor, a experienced LPC therapist, and whatnot. And they're actually just, that takes the, well, I'm out there on the island by myself, seeing my client base. They have people that they can talk to and get information from, and that makes them a better master's level intern as they grow.
Okay. Well, there's 2 things I want to talk about, and we can handle this either way. Number one is I want to talk about access, because I know people who really need help. They want help, but they can't afford $35. And then the other part of it are people who don't know they need help, but they need some help.
Right.
And I think those are the communities that they're not out seeking us, or we're not out seeking them.
Right.
And how do we make sure that those people are not just lost in the cracks?
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a real passion of mine, and I know Randy shares this passion. And we haven't really cracked that code yet. How do we get to the people that don't necessarily have access, or maybe they don't even have a car? There are neighborhoods where having a car is not
Common.
Yeah, it's not common.
Like transportation is an issue.
Yeah, it is an issue. And so I have this fantasy of like the ice cream truck or the food truck, the taco truck, but really it's for mental health. So I would like to be able to go into neighborhoods, like have a mobile mental health care center, and mobile Lifeologie is one of the things I've been thinking about. Because, we can build, even if we built an office in some of those neighborhoods, people might not feel comfortable coming, or they might not even realize that they need the help. But if you're right there, parked there, and they know you're going to be there on Mondays or whatever it is, they're more likely to, give it a shot. Because there's always going to be a Monday where they don't feel good.
Hey, let me tell you something. What's it called? What's the terminology again?
I don't know, taco truck. That's my fantasy, the taco truck for mental health.
A Lifeologie ice cream truck.
Yeah.
But I love that idea, like a food truck. This is a mental health truck or something, right?
Yeah.
So you heard it here on the Empire Series.
It's going to happen. Watch for it.
It will happen.
It will happen.
It's like
we'll
the imagine. It starts with an idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So I love that. So that will definitely address communities that are being not sought out, or there's transportation issues. That's a great way. Now, but then there's a cost for that too.
There's a cost for that too, but that's what the for-profit locations are for, right? So our franchise makes money. Our therapists make money; they do well.
Yeah.
But the idea is, if I sell one to you, I want you to also put one in a neighborhood where people can't afford to come and see the people in the Cedar Hill location. So that's part of the model, is we waive the franchise fee for that second location if you put it in an underserved neighborhood.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Then I'm also going to put another idea out there. Social enterprises. You've heard about that, right? So a for-profit model, doing well, and then pouring something in the community, a nonprofit that is definitely around providing access to mental health for those people who cannot afford it.
For sure.
So where they can just get the help, whether it's a group service thing or some level of outlet.
Yeah, and there are a lot of nonprofits that do provide mental health in those neighborhoods, and neighborhoods that tend to be underserved. You don't always know what the quality of the clinician is going to be wherever you go. One of the things I like about our model is that you know that you're going to get really high quality care, which typically is not available in a public setting, or sometimes even in a nonprofit setting.
Right.
Those positions don't tend to pay very well, so they don't necessarily attract the most talented clinicians, right? But we've got everybody trained in our system, so we want to send those people in, like boots on the ground, into those neighborhoods. But for sure, the nonprofit community is incredibly helpful. I don't know if you know Bonton Farms. Have you had Darren Babcock on yet?
I've heard about him.
Yeah.
I've heard about him, yeah.
You should definitely do that.
Okay.
So he's got a nonprofit in South Dallas. It's in the Bonton neighborhood, and he educated me a little bit about what the experiences of people who live in these neighborhoods. And one of the things he said is that he's lived there 6 years and he's never met a woman who hasn't been raped. So everybody in these really poor neighborhoods is experiencing, I mean, poverty is a trauma all by itself, but you're vulnerable to so much more trauma just because of your life situation. So the people that need the most help are the people that have the least access to it.
That's real, y'all. That is
It's real.
so
Very.
real. And so and we have to find a solution to that, because one of the things I'm doing with the Empower series is simply this. As a financial advisor, I realized that when people came to me who were broke, JP Morgan Chase wasn't paying me to work for broke people.
Right, exactly.
And so I started doing the Empower series in the communities. So in 2011 of April, on the third Saturday of every month, I was somewhere teaching some aspect of financial literacy or growth mindset.
Right.
And even this month, we're in the process of providing simple wills for people who need simple wills. So many people go to a workshop, they say, yeah, I got to do it, and then they just don't. Now, not everybody's need is simple. So part of it in this process that we're going to really define for people is your situation simple? And if it's not, you got to go another route.
Right.
But if it is simple, you're going to have at least a will that will take care of the people that you're leaving behind.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and that's going to be free for the people. It's not free to put on, right? So I'm getting the resources to do it. But I think when it comes to mental health, you're so right. In our communities, there's so many people who are faced with traumas. And it's not just, I would tell you that it's not just the people who are in underserved communities. So you know, trauma doesn't discriminate when it comes to wealth.
Nope,
Right.
it certainly doesn't.
But when you're wealthy, you at least have the access to the resources to get help.
Right.
But I feel like
and
there's
your
always
life isn't necessarily traumatic.
Yeah.
You know,
On a daily basis.
Yeah. So poverty is its own trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just makes everything is harder.
So we
It's
don't have
expensive to be poor.
Yeah, we don't have a solution for it, but I really want to create a solution to where some people who are watching this will have an outlet. Maybe they can come to your center,
Yes,
and they can get $35 to get a session, or go to a group session, which might be less than $35,
Which would be less,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Group sessions, or I don't know if there are books or exercises or things that you do. When someone would come to me and I couldn't really help them with the service that I provided, I would give them resources that they can go to learn. And this Empower series is one of them. What do you give people if they need to come back, but for one reason or another, they just can't come back? Do you give them any tips or things to take with them to try to self-counsel?
Sure. Yeah. We'll recommend books or, other resources. But I also have a thing where if we can't help you, we'll find somebody who can.
Yeah. Don't just say I can't help you.
No.
And then,
Like, let me do a little research and I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Cool.
So I can find somebody that you can afford to see, or that takes Medicaid or whatever it is that you've got. So we try to be the resource and not just the business.
So how many different locations do you have?
I think 6 or 7 now.
Seven. I was number 7.
You're 7, okay.
I was lucky 7.
Okay, so where's your location?
We're at 610 Uptown Boulevard in Cedar Hill, zip code 75104. We're right across the street from the Cedar Hill Walmart.
Okay, and your hours?
We open at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to basically 9 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Okay,
And
those are
then-
pretty long hours, right? That's
Well,
longer than normal.
The clinicians set their own hours, and so you might have somebody who really wants to work evenings, or if somebody likes to work early mornings, which would not be me.
Okay.
But we do have clinicians, and sometimes for job purposes or whatnot, a clinician may meet a particular client in the morning. So the facility is open for those particular hours. And then, of course, Saturdays we're open from 9 a.m. till basically 2 p.m. And then Sundays we have as necessary, but we're available if that is the day that a person is available and needs to see someone, we can accommodate that as well.
Okay. And then do you house at a particular center, or do you just run the whole franchise?
So my location is in Uptown. It's right behind Lee Park, or Oak Lawn Park, I think it's called now. It's 3303 Lee Parkway.
Okay.
And our website is wefixbrains.com.
We Fix Brains.
Wefixbrains.com.
Like LifeWorks, Lifeologie, and We Fix Brains.
That's it.
And we want to put the fun back in dysfunctional, right? There's no reason this can't be fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
And we do have fun. Trust
We do
me.
have fun.
Yeah,
and
we do.
And the facilities are really beautiful. That's another thing that's a big pet peeve of mine, is that healthcare in general gives no consideration to the patient experience. So how many waiting rooms have you sat in with like sticky magazines and Reagan era furniture and
Oh my gosh.
right, just all the bad, and too much carpet, like there's carpet.
Right.
It's always a mistake. Right. We talked about that.
Right.
So our our facilities are beautifully designed. It's like the Starbucks of mental health, if you will. So you walk in and you just feel better,
Right.
which you should feel better the minute you walk in. And Randy's space is amazing.
I know. You had an
Have
open
you
house
seen
the
it?
other day.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
there.
that's right.
Yeah, we took
Yeah.
we took
We
a
took a
picture.
picture
Yeah, we
together.
did. All three of us.
I'm telling you,
Hey,
man.
I'm gonna with your permission, can I post that picture?
Oh yeah, for
Because I
sure.
haven't posted it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what day was that?
That was last Thursday, the 10th. We had our grand opening for the Cedar Hill location.
Had some good food. Who did the catering? Do you remember who did the catering?
Michelle and Michelle is the name of the caterer.
Michelle and Michelle?
Michelle and Michelle.
Okay, my daughter's name is Michelle.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
cool. So the food was good.
Food
It
was amazing.
Oh my god.
Great musician.
You guys had wine. You guys had
Yes.
some liquor there,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Well,
That
we had
also helps.
wine.
That
It's a
always helps,
feature,
right?
yeah. That's
You
all
didn't
right.
have liquor. You just had wine.
We
right?
did have
That's some
cheese and
spirits.
crackers with the wine.
Right. You did have food too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that was really good. And you, a lot of people came who were in the building.
Yes.
I met a CPA that was there.
Yes.
And a few other business owners, so they came and supported you, which was
Yeah.
good, really
It's
good.
real good for that location because it's a 4-story building, and the business owners within that building, it's a very tight-knit group, and they definitely support Lifeologie. A lot of them are really, when we moved in, they were like, man, we really need this. I mean, a lot of people came and said, we're glad Lifeologie is here. We really need this for this area and this location. But also, we received our chamber plaque from the city of Cedar Hill, which was another good thing. We had our ribbon cutting that day. But we basically just let the city of Cedar Hill and other neighboring towns know that we're open for business and we're ready to go. We're ready to help.
So let's think about some creative things about community outreach. What are some of the things you've done or that you have done in community outreach that is fun and just lets people know that you're now in town?
Do you
You
want to
want-
take that? You want me
You
to?
take that, and then I'll take
Okay.
it from Cedar Hill standpoint.
Okay, well, so one of the things I have a location in Fort Worth, and Fort Worth is a artsy town.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my hometown Amarillo, but bigger.
Oh, you from
Yeah,
West
I'm from
Texas?
Amarillo.
Oh my
I'm a West
gosh.
Texas
Oh,
girl,
that's
raised
crazy.
by musicians.
I'll tell you
the
about
whole
the story
bit.
about West.
Yeah. So Fort Worth is they have a lot of like street fairs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We always do those gigs because we're passing out things and we have like play stuff set up for the kids, and it's just casual. So people come up and they end up talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can say, well, you know what, we can totally help you. We can find somebody who can. So we do that. And then I also have a psychotherapeutic yoga school. And so we do yoga outreach in underserved communities. So we'll do mindfulness and meditation at, I don't want to say any of the organizations that we've worked with because I didn't get anybody's permission to do
I
that.
got you.
But if there's a group of, for example, homeless kids or something, we might go in and do mindfulness and meditation or yoga with them.
Wow.
And just
that's
give them the
cool.
benefit of that great skill set so that they can manage the stress in their life.
So the yoga therapy, is that at the same center that's in Uptown?
In Uptown. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
like that.
Although every location does have that yoga piece.
Yes.
So we
Even
just-
yours?
Yes.
My location
Yeah.
has the school, so we train the yogis to go out and do this particular type of yoga. It's yoga for your brain.
Are you a yogi?
Well, I'm a practicing yogi, but I'm not a teacher.
Okay. I love that.
I'm working on my Pinchamayurasana though.
Oh, okay.
Like the forearm stand.
Right.
I'm about to nail it.
She'll
love
get
that.
it.
I'll
She'll
get
make
it.
it happen.
Okay, so I'm a practitioner of yoga as well,
Uh-huh.
and my goal is to do that in forever, right? Because yoga is
Absolutely.
always good for you.
Mhm.
I need to do more of that, so I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to start bugging you like your daughter does. Like, have you been
That's there's
been
a
to
reason
yoga
why.
today, dude?
There's a reason why you're in my life, right? So what kind of outreach are you doing?
We, since we've only, again, been open 5 months, but we've been to the Taste of Cedar Hill. We got out into the area. We're partnering. One of our first partnerships is with Bridges. They're a facility for females that have been in traumatic situations right there in Cedar Hill. So we're partnering with them, and we have a partnership with them. And then we're also right on the cusp of doing some other things with our first responders and whatnot within
about that.
definitely within the southern region there. So we're ingrained in Cedar Hill, but we're looking to broaden that net a little bit for the southern region and the southern suburbs.
Are you doing anything with the school districts?
We are in association with the school districts. It's pretty hard to get in the door with the school
Right.
districts.
Okay.
Strangely enough, we're doing a lot of work with first responders, though, and that's a big deal for us. So first responders would be police, fire, 911 operators, EMTs. I mean, you don't realize how many layers of those people are traumatized as well. You know.
So here's what I'm going to suggest, and I can connect you with principals because
good.
they are looking for people to come in for two reasons. Number one, to talk about careers. So I think
for career day, yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
definitely you hear about firefighters, financial advisors, doctors,
You don't hear
counselors.
about therapists.
Yeah. But, so I would say there are tons. I know Learning for Life, which is a Boy Scout program. They always are looking for people to come in and talk about their career to middle school and high school students. The other one I would say is I did a speaker series where Lyles Middle School, as well as Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy, and other schools are looking for people to come in and just share their story, like motivational talk speakers, to talk about how they've gone through their challenges and they've come out on the other side. Because there's so many students that are dealing with horrific childhood or home settings.
Yeah, very difficult.
But yet they're coming to school every day. And there's also homeless students. And even my daughter was telling me the other day that I just did not make studying fun for her. And it is traumatic. She is still dealing with some of the things today. That was not my intention. And what I say from that is even parents with the best intention who think that they're doing the right thing, kids are stressed out and they're not telling their parents about it.
No, they act it out. They don't talk about it.
For
they
real.
Act it out.
So I think giving the students access to your profession will not only give them some insight about what else they can do, but if they really are dealing with some things, they might see that going to a counselor outside of their school counselor, right? A professional counselor is a way out.
Yeah, and it might be okay. Maybe they're not that weird, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe it's not going to be that weird of an experience because, you know, she's like a normal person.
So definitely follow up. I'm going to follow up with giving you some context on schools. We're going to follow up on this idea of the, mental
taco
health.
truck?
Yes.
We're going to do that,
name,
man.
right? Like, we got to come up with a fun name, Lifeologie. I don't know.
Believe me, we'll come up with a name.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That will happen.
That's the easy thing,
That's
right?
the easy thing,
Just how do we make it happen,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
I mean, it needs to happen, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I saw when I went to your open house is that you have a diverse counselor group.
Yes.
Age.
Yes.
As well as ethnicity.
Yes.
Religion.
Did I see any male counselors there?
You did. Can I say his name?
Yeah.
Justin Ellis. He's actually a teacher in the school system, and he's one of our master's level interns.
Did I meet him? I don't know if I met a lot of women there.
Well, it's a female dominated field.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find a male therapist. So
Right.
when we find a good one, we snag them.
Right.
It is a female dominated.
And we've
field.
got another guy in queue that Melanie doesn't know about yet, but I've got my eyes on another guy that will be coming in. Because it's for that region, and just looking at the dynamics now of, unfortunately, a lot of our homes, they're single-parent homes. A few of the single-parent females that I've talked to, they really wanted their young sons and primarily their young sons to talk to a male. So in getting that feedback, I purposely have been seeking out not only the best counselors, but also just some men because we need that in our environment, to Melanie's point.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so one of the questions I have before I get into the business model again is we have somebody who's listening now who is thinking, man, I need to go to a counselor. I need to find a counselor. They can go online and look for your website, which your website again is what?
WeFixBrains.com.
WeFixBrains.com. Your website is different though, right? Because everybody
it's the same.
Well, yeah, if you look up Lifeologie.
And then you look at different locations.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a drop down, and you can search it by location. And it'll give you all 7 locations.
So WeFixBrains.com. I love that.
Right.
So they can remember that.
That's right.
And let's see. So we're doing this live, right? So I do have somebody who's saying something. Working with the schools and youth programs will be great. So
yes,
I'm all over that. Let's do it.
Totally.
And so I'm going to go ahead and put that website here in our chat. So WeFixBrains.com.
WeFixBrains.com.
Okay, I'll make sure I spell it right.
We like that because it's grabby.
It really
We'll always
is.
remember it.
That works. And so hopefully I spelled it right. So WeFixBrains.com, go there. And what else would you recommend that they do? So besides reaching out to you, setting a time to meet with you, that's definitely one thing. And what else?
Well, a lot of times the churches are a first step. they're first responders often in terms of the first person that people turn to for counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And pastors usually have a lot of resources. They may not be therapists themselves, so that's always a good place to go.
Okay.
But I think the thing is reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
Is the
Very
key.
true.
Suicide is in the top 10 causes of death in every age group, including 5 to 8.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Mm.
And and suicide is always based on despair. And so many people who chose not to or didn't complete a suicide will tell you, if anybody had cared, like if I found out one person cared and that's why I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So just if people would just reach out, somebody will try to help and somebody will try to find you somebody that can help.
Yeah.
But most people, I think, feel so much shame about their imperfections and feel shame about not being, I don't even like mental illness as a word, but maybe they have depression or they have anxiety or whatever, and they forget that your brain is an organ, just like your heart is or your kidneys. And if you got a problem with your kidneys, you go to the doctor and we try to do something that helps the organ out, right? And your brain is an organ too, and it's not always functioning like it should. And so there are ways to address that, and you can't always think your way out of it any more than you can think your way out of having a kidney infection.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that I have challenges with my mindset. I don't always wake up excited. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine told me when she saw what I was doing, she said, "Clifton, you're depressed." And so, and then recently, a few months ago, a friend of mine that I played football with committed suicide.
Oh.
And that was tough because, and we would all look back and recall some of the statements and things that he said. Mm-hmm. And we would think, okay, why didn't we know?
Right.
Why
didn't you catch on?
Exactly. And so that's serious. And so I still want to go back to where if someone feels like, okay, I'm not going to go to your website because I don't have money.
Right.
What do you tell somebody who's really at that point of despair, but they need help? Is there a place to go? Because I know some people have come to me and they said, okay, I don't have any insurance. Mm-hmm. I need to go to a counselor. Is there any place that does free counseling?
There are a lot of community resources, and that's not my area, so I don't have that on the tip of my tongue, and I apologize for that. But the county has resources that are available to everybody. Okay. And there's addiction treatment that's available to everybody. You don't have to have insurance. I'm sorry that I don't know the names of all those organizations.
Can you help me by following up with that?
Yep,
because
absolutely.
I want to put that out there for our community. Mm-hmm. And it goes back, I was telling you about my brother who was on. Mm-hmm. And so my brother was addicted to crack. Mm-hmm. And he was homeless in Los Angeles from 1988 to 1994. And so when we got him off the streets, his job was offering those programs, but he decided not to go that route. And when he finally decided to come out of it, he came to Dallas and was calling all these different places, and the Salvation Army helped him.
Oh, there you go.
Right. But I gave him a list of different places to call, and he was calling all these different places looking for help, and all of them were filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely want to provide resources to people who are in need. They're going to go to your website. If they can afford $35, that's great. Mm-hmm. If they can't, you guys would direct them to make sure that you just don't say no.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The key there is just to reach out.
Okay.
If they just reach out, then we will do our due diligence to get them to the proper care. If we can't provide it, but we'll do our best to, at any location, Lifeologie location, to do what we can to support. But to Melanie's point, if we can't, we'll give them direction.
Okay. And then what you've done with any business, because we talk about entrepreneurship as well, people are out there just doing it. And what you did is you finally sat down and you created a system for this model and for yoga practitioners to say, if you follow this model of success, you can go out and really help people and make a contribution to humanity, but also make a living doing it.
Right.
So if there's anybody who's looking and curious about finding out more about your franchise model, how do they reach out to you? Do they go to
WeFixBrains.com or you can look at Lifeologie.com is also the franchise website. But I'm glad you brought that up because most people who have a passion about what they do, they may love what they do, but they don't know how to make money doing it.
Exactly.
Or they don't know how to run a business. And therapists for sure don't know how to run a business.
Is in that group, right?
Yeah, it's true. And, I was raised by musicians, so peace, love, and macrame in my household.
I'm beginning to understand now.
A lot. It's starting to make sense, isn't it? So that made me a creative thinker, but it didn't make me a linear thinker. So there was a lot I had to learn along the way. But So there's resources. And you always need to surround yourself with people who know how to do what you don't know how to do.
That's the key.
That's what it sounds like.
Huge key.
Is that what you did?
That's what I did.
Okay.
I went to see a business coach at one point, and she asked me one of those questions that ruins your life. Like, what do you want out of your business that you're not getting now, and what are you willing to give up in order to get it?
Wow.
Man, ouch.
That was a hard one.
That was a hard one. So I wanted it to be all the things I wanted it to be. I wanted it to, like, my mission to come true and my vision to come true, and then I was going to have to give up control. Ouch.
And we just talked about you and your control issues.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you probably didn't
They're
call it
not
control
control
That was
issues.
issues.
off the air, man.
That's not control issues.
Control observations, control insights. Or
That's the timeliness center.
That's right. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, that's the timeliness center.
The timeliness?
Well, she was wanting to start on time.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't we be starting now?
We're having a session now, right?
I know we are. Well, I think I'm the subject of the session, though. You guys are the counselors. Ouch.
But that's a very challenging question. So repeat that question again.
So what do you want out of your life or your business or your marriage? You can apply it to almost anything that you're not getting now, and what are you willing to give up in order to get it?
And I bet you for a lot of people, the answer is control.
Yeah. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say the other day that attachment is the enemy of happiness.
Yeah, that's an old Buddha
Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so once you're attached to the outcome or you're attached to what you're doing and not willing to, like, pry your fingers off of it, I think that's, game over.
Yeah. Okay. That's some good insight. And so with that, did you take some steps to let go of control?
Sure, yeah. I looked around at my staff, and I had this guy on staff who had 4 teenagers who were still speaking to him. And I thought, well, here's a guy who can confront people without alienating him. I put him in charge of the staff because I'm not good at that. And then my eating disorder person was like Miss Hospital Corner. She was real, precise and everything, and I'm not that way. So I put her in charge of creating systems, right? So I'm good at thinking up things and marketing ideas, but putting them in place, not my gift. So I found the people around me who filled in the holes in my personality, which are, pretty massive. And gave them the freedom and the power to do the gig.
Yeah.
You can't have responsibility without power. That's another thing. You got to give people the power to do the gig. So, and I was willing to let go of that control, and that's when the business took off. And that was probably 6 years in. It took me that long. I'm a slow learner. It took me that long.
But it happened. It happened.
It did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your vision, even now that you have 7 locations, do you see yourself having more or branching off into other things? Tell me about your vision.
Yes.
Yes. All the things.
Right? All of the above, right?
Go ahead, Melanie. I was just saying, yes, we will be expanding.
We will be expanding.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Make the announcement
hit
here.
it, Randy.
Well, no, it's not an announcement, but we've already got plans to hit some other areas of Dallas, and we're constantly bringing on different locations, not just in Dallas. We're looking outside of the state of Texas and whatnot, and of course, our franchise model can work anywhere. It's not just a Dallas-Fort Worth franchise model.
Okay.
It's an Indiana model. It's
We're already in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
There you go.
Already? Is that one of the 7 locations?
That's one of the locations.
That's one of the locations. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a model that can work outside of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really the way it should be done. I mean, I really believe that we do things the way that it should be done. It really changes our industry completely. So my goal is to have it everywhere because I think our industry needs to change.
So how can the Empower series be a resource to you?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Very good question.
Can you just blast this out to everybody who's ever existed? So
Okay,
maybe,
So here's our goal is to reach over 1 million people next year.
yeah.
Yeah. We want to reach over 1 million
Good for you.
people through either inline or in-person workshops or using social media.
Right.
And so by having people like you on as guests to share your story and what you're doing, we'll definitely push that out.
Good.
And I think your first answer to my question of how I can support you is probably surface level. It's like the tip of the iceberg. And
I'm sure it is.
You're not asked that question most of the time.
No, nobody
Right.
asks, how can I help you? I'm like, they ask, want me to help them.
Right.
Right.
It's the other way around.
Like, can we flip that thing and
So
I'll be
now
more
you-
comfortable?
So now you know how that feels, right?
I do. Ouch.
So I would say give it some time, let it simmer. I'll ask it again.
Okay.
Okay.
And the more answers you give me, the greater chance I have a fulfilling one of them.
You know what? That's true, isn't it?
Yeah. So you just like a Christmas list. Hey, I want the new Nintendo.
Uh-huh.
Is that the only thing on your list? you have a greater chance.
Put some socks on there.
Yeah.
They can be good socks, but like you got to have the socks.
Exactly. So our time is can you imagine our time is almost up?
Oh, it's
so
not.
I know we started a little bit late, so it doesn't matter if we run a little bit longer.
problem.
But I want to know, what is the message that you want to give to people who are really looking for answers to their lifeologists?
I think the message there is we care and we want to help. The people that do the best as therapists, as I am learning, they care and they want to help people, and they generally want to help people. So the person who may be out there on the island by themselves or feel like they're out there on the island, just make the contact, and then we can help go through that journey.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a book called The Resilient Self, and I love this book because it talks about resiliency instead of, this guy studies what he calls the challenge model instead of the damage model. Like, what is it that our life, we've got all these challenges in our lives, how do we sort of instinctively rise to the occasion? And without even noticing that we're doing it. So I like to encourage people, like, hang on to the resiliency. Don't get discouraged by your current circumstances or whatever, because somebody else is going through it, has already been there, and your record of succeeding so far is 100%. You've made it through every single day so far.
Oh, right, because you're still present.
Because
right?
you're still here,
present.
man.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
love that.
let's recognize that we're a survivor, and we can be a thriver. That may be not where we are today, but the surviving is necessary. So get to the next day and see yourself as a resilient person who can keep going and get there, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Oh my gosh. I tell you right now, as an entrepreneur, I mean, everybody will tell you, even the owner of AE Media Group.
Oh yeah.
He'll say, like, look, you see the success now, but you didn't see the challenge.
Oh my
Right.
gosh. Yeah. What a goat rodeo.
Like, it
It's
goes
just
like this.
crazy.
Goes
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows it. It's like all of it. You just keep going, man.
So there's an image I saw where it said hard work, and then over here is success. And then it says the illusion is there's a straight line.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
They said the reality is that it's this.
Oh yeah. If that, and then there's like a backwards loop too. A couple of those. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And then when you hear the story about people like Tyler Perry, who was homeless, or even what's his name? Steve Harvey, homeless.
Right.
Or anybody or even Walt Disney, who went bankrupt, but he had his dream, and his only friend was Mickey Mouse, right?
Right.
A very good friend.
That worked out fine.
You see what I'm saying? But it's not a straight path.
No, it's not. And I started the original LifeWorks that turned into Lifeologie right before I ended up getting an unexpected divorce. And I lost everything in the divorce. I didn't even take the checkbook with me when I left. It didn't occur to me that I wasn't coming back. And so I literally did have $7 in the bank at one point, and I just rented all the space. I had no clients. I had no income. I mean, it was terrible. It was the worst idea ever. And that's not how you start a business, right? But just doing the work and trying to learning from, never waste pain. It's too expensive. You want it to teach you something.
Never waste pain. I'm going to listen to this and just write down some quotes.
Some of the little things.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So let your life teach you something, learn from the next thing, and keep going. And don't assume that illusion of success is complete, because it's not. I mean, everybody is struggling or has struggled, and it's like you said, it's never a straight line.
Yeah.
Clifton, another good thing to this point is that there are other franchisees in Dallas that we do a good job of collaborating with each other. So although I just opened up number 7, I have talked to the person that opened up number 6, the person that opened up number 4, and the same struggles that they had back then, I can help, or they can help me to limit or minimize those backwards loops that you go through.
Yeah.
Because that way we can collaborate just from a business standpoint. And then that will allow us to continue to offer a good product and a good service to, anyone who wants to come and just be a part of this. But from a franchisee standpoint, I'm very happy with the support that I have, not only from the headquarters at Lee Parkway, but also from other franchisees that are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Team.
And yeah, so you're not alone.
Yes.
And just I'll share something new on this podcast for those listeners and about the Empower series. So I was a financial advisor. Started the business in 2004 from being a consultant. And I knew I wanted to do this, but my goal was never to be a financial advisor for my life. It was really to get the credentials to understand finances so I can find my voice and do the Empower series. In 2010, I filed bankruptcy.
Ouch.
And I always felt like I wanted my life to be an example that all things were possible.
Right.
And even though out of my family, I may have appeared to be the most successful going to college, not being homeless or addicted to anything, being a financial advisor, I'm giving advice about money. And I'm thinking, well, you should do this, do that. But then I'm having some challenges, being divorced or whatever it is. Then I filed bankruptcy, and I'm thinking, why am I going through bankruptcy? And it's the opportunity to really understand that, if you really want to be an example that all things are possible, then have some hardships.
Divorced marriage counselor. What did I just say? Yeah, I
You
agree
see what
with
I'm
you
saying?
100%. Yeah, and it changes you as a person to realize that you can be an expert in something, right? And still just fall flat on your face and have to start over and get up again. But it's that resiliency that makes it possible.
And
Right.
the fact that we are all in this journey together. We're all learning. And the other thing I would say is that the Empower series is not about people coming or even myself trying to give people knowledge that because we've arrived. We are all trying to figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one day at a time, man.
Exactly.
Constantly.
And I always ask myself, so what advice did I give today that I need to be listening to?
Oh,
That's a good point.
Do you guys ask you, does that happen to you? Like I always think if people are running into me and I'm giving them advice, I kind of sit and I meditate on that and say, okay, so what should I be learning about the advice that I'm giving? Because I'm always giving advice to two people. It's the people I'm talking to and me.
Yeah. And it helps to listen, doesn't it? Be useful to listen occasionally.
Oh, so much. So much. I want to thank you guys. This is so cool. We can keep talking forever, right?
What a blast. This was so fun. Thank you for having us.
Definitely.
All right. So any parting words before we leave, because I'm giving you more time to say what you say, and then also give your website again or how to get in touch with you so that because some people are probably getting in and this is all they're going to listen to.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I would say my parting words are like, not just follow your dreams, but have confidence in the power of resiliency and how hard it is for everybody, and keep going. That's really important. And reach out for help because it's there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Randy.
I'm good.
No,
they need to remember I'm good. Like no matter what they're going through, right? Not like you good, but I'm good.
I'm good, meaning that the support is there. And I think just from me, getting out as a franchisee, I had to take that first step to become a franchisee. And for those who would like to get the resources and the support from the franchise, take the first step. And we'll walk that journey with you, and we'll help with whatever the situation is, whatever the dynamic is. Someone has gone through that before.
True.
Okay. So, and I know if they want to find your location, it's
Yes.
Lifeologie, Cedar Hill,
Yes.
and you'll pop up.
Yep.
You're on Facebook. What other social media accounts are you guys on? Because I only found you on Facebook and your website.
Yeah, we have an Instagram that's just Lifeologie. I don't think the locations each have an Instagram. Some of them do, and some of them don't. We're not on Twitter because I don't understand Twitter. I'm not 30. I don't get it.
Some of the locations are on Twitter as well.
Just
Maybe
not
they're
yours.
on this location.
I'm like, what? I don't understand this. It's just like so much noise.
She is so honest.
I know. This has been great. We're going to continue to talk even after this, but this is not going to be the end. This is not going to be the last.
Can we come back?
Oh, definitely. And we're going to follow up on this, mental health truck.
That's right. 'Cause
Mental
absolutely.
health truck. That's like on it. That's
Isn't
on
that a
it.
good idea?
I love that idea.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
We got to make that happen. Put that out in the universe and just act on it, right?
Yeah, I love it. We can do it.
I love
That's
it.
the other thing. We can do it. It can be done.
Yeah.
Right? Everything you see around you, somebody thought up.
So here's the thing. All things are possible. There's a guy who wrote this book called The Science of Being Great. He also wrote this book, The Science of Being Well and The Science of Being Rich. His name was Wallace D. Waddle. And he says, there's no level of greatness that cannot be exceeded.
Wow, I love that.
And he also talks about the most difficult thing that we will ever do is believing in our thoughts and our dreams when our physical environment is contrary to what we envision.
Absolutely.
And so if we don't have what we have, it's about being resilient. It's about
Right.
being disciplined and diligent and fixing on this imagination that we have and realizing, probably meditating and letting the great ideas come to us that we can take action on when we are now back in the mode
Exactly.
of taking action. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
I want
it.
to thank everybody for watching and tuning in for an hour and being patient.
That's right.
and tuning in when we came on. Thank our sponsors again, Comerica Bank and AE Media Group, and your generous donations for giving. Please mark your calendar, because tomorrow we'll be at Paul Quinn College again at 10:30. If you go to our website and click RSVP and go to the right and click on the registration for the Paul Quinn College Will Clinic, scroll down, you'll see that there's a form that you can download. If you fill out that form and bring it on Saturday, you will be able to be in line to get a simple will. So we need to look at your situation and make sure that you qualify for a simple will, because many people think their stuff is simple,
And
Right.
it's really
but
not.
baby, you complex.
And don't
right?
forget about your pets in your will.
That's important, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's super
very.
important.
Look, don't forget about your kids,
Kids and the pets, though.
and don't forget about me. No, not necessarily me, but the Empower series or your
Yes.
favorite
Your
favorite
favorite
charity.
charity.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yep.
So hope to see you again tomorrow. Next week, we're going to talk to Jason. He's a franchise expert, and you know Jason,
Jason
right?
Killer, yes.
Yeah, so his information is out there. Thank you again for watching. Stay tuned, be blessed, be empowered, and be inspired to thrive.
Awesome.
Great.